There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Welcome to a special edition of Sci-Fi Talk on the Fangirl Zone, a podcast where we discuss Earp-A-Palooza 2019. I'm Steve.
I'm Sean, Fangirl S. And
I'm Fred from the Netherlands.
Yes, we have our special guest who you have heard us read his emails on air or just his lovely dulcet tones. But he's actually joining us this time. Thank you so much, because I know we have a time difference. And the fact that you flew over here and also attended with Steve, that's amazing, Fred.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it was so nice to meet Steve. Of course, I knew Steve from the C Word. So everything started for me with Orphan Black. And so I came to Steve and Terry and Corey's podcast, the C Word. So I knew them from, well, Steve, 4 years ago, I think.
Four, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it's been that long.
Yeah, and then meeting in real life after 4 years. That was very, very nice.
Yes, it was.
All right. So, Steve, why don't you give us a little kind of overview of how Earp-A-Palooza was? Because it seems to be a little different from some of the bigger cons.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is Earp-A-Palooza is strictly Winona Earp, and they have a limited number of tickets available. And so,
600?
you get it's a very intimate setting with most of the panels and the meet and greets, and it was a fantastic time.
Now, I did see some photos you guys were posting, and of course I was jealous because I was working. So, really awesome. You guys were so close. And even in your panels that I've seen some of the photos of, they seemed super intimate, which you did say that. But it was, I don't know, help me out, guys, because it just seemed like even your panels had maybe 100 people.
No, the panels were not 100 people. I think the total of attendance were 600, and that's also the maximum that they want to keep, because this is the second time that Earp-A-Palooza was organized. Last year it was in Minneapolis, and what's very nice is that they will try to go all over the States so that everybody has a chance to visit Earp-A-Palooza. So next year it won't be Minneapolis and it won't be St. Louis. They will look for another city again. And yeah, this intimate atmosphere, I talked to Kevin Batchelder, who does not organize Earp-A-Palooza, but is a moderator of many panels and is very much involved. And he also stated that they want to keep it as small as it is, and that is 600 people. Still, quite a lot of people, but it were not 100. But sometimes you have panels where not everybody is attending, and then and of course, some of the pictures Steve and I took, we had a marshal deputy pass, which meant that we were a little bit more upfront than some other people. So you only see.
That's maybe why it felt like there was 100. You guys were in the.
Yeah, you see we didn't have a VIP ticket. That's even better.
Oh, okay.
So the VIPs were in front of us, but yeah, and then you have the sheriff tickets, and there are the cheapest ones, and they were actually behind us.
Yeah.
So your photo ops were, first of all, amazing. But I love the photos. We're going to try to get those up so you can see if they're not already up. The photos Fred had with Melanie and Dom when she was pickpocketing him. Could you tell us a little bit about these photos? Like, were they just super willing to do whatever you ask, or was it their idea with some of them?
Well, this crew of this cast, I have to say, is really very willing to do almost anything you ask. Of course, there are limitations and there are some restrictions, and the organizers say just ask, and they will give their boundaries, but they are really crazy, so they are much into all kinds of very strange things, and people take all kinds of attributes with them, and let's peacemakers, and some people do cosplay with them, and especially in the group pictures they make with the whole cast, or let's say 4 or 5 actors, really crazy. And I want to compliment, really, again, I did it on several occasions, Wolf Studios from Texas, who organized these photo ops actually very, very well. What's your opinion, Steve?
Oh, yeah, I thought they were fantastic. And Fred actually has a story how they went above and beyond to make sure he got a photo that he was supposed to get.
Yeah, I missed one photo op because I didn't feel very well with Anna Silk, who was there, actually from Lost Girl and other series, of course. But Megan Follows, who plays Mother Earp, of course, should have been at Earp-A-Palooza, but was cancelled just in the last few weeks. And then they managed to get Anna Silk. And Anna Silk only plays in one episode, actually, of season 3. But still a lot of, I think Wynonna Earp fans also are Lost Girl fans. So everybody was very much excited that Anna Silk also attended this conference. And actually, in the series, she got the name of a podcaster. Can you imagine Sean being on Wynonna Earp and a character is called Sean?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, now, that happened to Kevin Batchelder. That was her name, was Kevin.
Kevin himself had a very nice photo op. So he made on a 2 piece of cardboard or white paper, he had written, "He is Kevin," and then with an arrow, and then he was holding that in his hand, pointing towards Anna Silk, and he had the same sign saying, "She is Kevin," and he should carry that. So they were pointing at each other. He is Kevin and she is Kevin. So that was a very, very simple and nice idea. And the thing I did, for instance, with Melanie and Dominique, so with Wynonna and Waverly, if people don't know the actor names of the Wynonna Earp people, I said, I asked Melanie, I just looked you deep into your eyes and I'm so obsessed by you that Dominique will steal my pocket watch. And well, they are actors. You just give this instruction. It happens within 10 seconds. You're out. And then Wolf Studios will give you a marvelous print within the next, let's say, 3 minutes.
That's amazing. Because I know though most of them run the photo ops at the con so fast. You're lucky if you have a chance to say anything. I'm like, oh, can we do this? So I'm always amazed when somebody has like a crazy unique one, because all of mine I'm just looking like, yay! Especially this one.
With only having
Tennant.
Yeah. Well, with only having 600 people, you don't have the 2-hour lines of photo ops that, you feel like your cattle being herded in and out. Mm. So yeah, you have more time to get those shots that are more than just standing there next to the person. So now, of course, once they start pushing the time frame of the photo, they'll say no special shots. Mm-hmm.
But the special shots then were very special shots in the sense of very crazy things. So my thing of stealing my pocket watch was still possible. So, and they instruct you really. So if you have an idea for a photo op, don't think it out at that moment. You have to really plan it very, very well and give very good instructions, and then it works out. And then I have to say, when I look to the photo ops of other people who have posted them, with some exceptions, most of them, I think that's really a marvelous job, and done by the actors also. So yeah, big compliments for these actors. And it's not the only con they visit. If you look at Dominique Prevost-Chockley, she was in Milan, she was in Sydney, she was in Brisbane, she was in London, she was in Atlanta, she was in Toronto. Just if you add that up in the last 6 months or something like that. So really, really crazy.
It's a lot of travel.
Yes, it is.
Still trying to get to one of them overseas. I think that would be fun, but we'll see what happens. All right.
Well, in August 2020, there is one in Germany. I will visit that one.
Oh, really be out of my element. I don't know how to speak any other language. I am, unfortunately, one of those people. I took language class. I took Spanish, but I don't remember more than a few words. So I'm in trouble in any other country.
Yeah, but that con is called Peacemaker 1, and it's also just a Winona Earp con.
Oh, okay.
So the main language still will be English there, although it's in Germany.
We'll see. Maybe I can take a halfway grown-up vacation and not just do cons, but we'll see.
Yeah. I will be there and help you.
Thank you. All right. So this con also had workshops. So tell us a little bit how it's different from a panel.
Well, Steve has to answer that because I didn't visit the workshop, but Steve did.
Yeah. Fortunately, with the ticket that I won, it included the Emily Andrus writing workshop. And I did go attend that and learned quite a bit of at least Emily's process in developing a script and breaking down the scenes and what she expects to see from the scenes. So it was actually fascinating. And they had probably 60 people, maybe. I think there was probably about 10 tables of 5 or 6 people per table. And, she basically had, once she got done explaining how she breaks down a whole episode and acts and scenes, she basically had the groups come up with their own, episode of bringing somebody back and how it would happen and how they would react. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Emily is an amazing person, just so full of energy.
She was so nice when I got to meet her out here at C2E2, and she recognized the jersey, and she recognized it again later when she's seen it and was saying something and then making fun of me for having a personal photographer, my husband. Like, that's the way we travel. I mean, doesn't everybody? So I love that she was able to talk to you guys, and it was small and intimate. And again, you got just all this information that you don't normally get, even in a normal panel.
Right.
Yeah. And what I did, what Steve didn't do, was a meet and greet. So that's another possibility. Of course, you have to pay for that. And then you are just in a circle, like in therapy, in a group therapy circle. No, it was a kind of group therapy with Melanie Scrofano, so with Winona. And so I was in that with 14 others. And then you really have half an hour to discuss stuff with just one actor. Yeah, full attention. And that was also a very nice experience. And Melanie Scrofano is really a crazy woman. Oh, so she said to me, for instance, "Oh, what's your name?" I said, "Okay, my name is Fred." "Of course your name is Fred. And where are you from?" "From the Netherlands." "Yeah, of course you are from the Netherlands." And so it went on and on. And so that was very nice. And actually, and also good topics. For instance, I came into watching especially American series through Orphan Black. Orphan Black is really my big thing, in the sense of before, let's say 2014, I almost didn't watch any TV, only worked. And then my wife gave me as a present, and a lot of listeners know this story by now, gave me a DVD box of Orphan Black because a lot of genetics in it. And of course, I'm a human geneticist. And then everything started. I started to follow Tatiana Maslany, and then Tatiana Maslany had just a guest role in The Listener. And Melanie Scrofano is actually the girlfriend of the lead actor of The Listener, Toby. And So I thought it would be nice to let her sign not one of her standard Winona Earp photographs. So I brought from the Netherlands some screenshots, which I printed, of the listener. And then I was in this meet and greet. And then one of the other attendants asked, so what would you not do? Or where are your boundaries if you read a script or whatever? And then she actually said that she not hated, but she didn't like the procedural series. And then she took the listener as an example of a procedural series, which she didn't like that much. And I had in my suitcase a picture of the listener to sign for her. So that's how I discovered that she really wants to play in series that are more, how do you call it, have a storyline throughout the series and not a Monster of the Week like series that she doesn't like. And I think if you watch and listen to Winona Earp, it is a combination of both. It has a general red line of the story, but it's still having its weekly, especially in the beginning, the different revenants that came by.
Right. Now we've got like a big big arch.
Yeah, an arc. Talking about an arc, that's what one of the things that Steve and I did with outside this conference. We went to the big gateway arch of St. Louis as just a trip for a few hours. And that was actually the only day it was sunny, shiny, blue sky. And we took some nice pictures there at the gateway arch of St. Louis. But the rest of the days were very rainy, but we were inside and happy. So that was not much of a problem.
Nope. And we had discussed, especially with Fred's meet and greet with Melanie, about bringing up the possibility of a musical episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Magicians.
Magicians, yes.
Yeah.
And what did
And then one of the people in the meet and greet also asked, no, actually I was that. Steve,
Yeah.
I asked Steve, especially for Sci-Fi Talk, what question should I ask Melanie for Sci-Fi Talk? And then Steve said, okay. And that was because in one of the panels they were discussing a musical episode. So especially for Sci-Fi Talk, I asked this question to Melanie, and she said, well, if I watch a series and there is a musical episode, I will skip that one.
What?
So she does not like that at all. So if Emily has that crazy idea, well, of course she has to do her job. And there are others, of course, in the cast that can sing and dance very nicely. So we have seen that of Dominique, and of course Tim Rosen. Well, he can play guitar and he can sing. So there are enough others, Melanie said, they can do it, but not me.
That's funny. Because those are actually, with the Magicians, or another sci-fi show that we do, is one of my favorite episodes every season.
Oh, absolutely. They do it so well. And I know the cast of Winona could pull it off just as well. And I know
sure.
Emily would be just over the moon writing that episode.
That's funny because I had the Bowie episode running through my head the other day for Magicians, but that's a whole nother podcast. Okay, so you guys also attended some of the panels, and it was hard to see the one picture, but we had all the guys there, it looked like.
Natalie was not there.
Yeah, that's right.
Natalie
Right.
was there. So Greg Dawson was there last year, but he wasn't in this time. And of course, Tim Rosen was a big surprise because in the announcements and all the organization, he was not announced as being there. And they pulled off a joke actually because they, what was it, Steve? Kind of prize?
Yeah, they were about to start the full cast panel, and they had brought Melanie out, and they got Tim to say something backstage.
The People Award. They had the People Awards prize that they they actually Dominique won one of the People's Awards prizes, but they had a special prize for a series, several series actually, and the nominees are Winona Earp. period.
Yeah.
And then they got the prize, and then the cast came on stage, and they were acting silly, and we got a prize, and I've got a prize, and then from behind there was suddenly a voice. What? You are accepting a prize without me being there? And it was the voice of Tim Rosen coming from backstage. And of course, nobody knew if that was a recording or something else. And then he jumped on the stage, and then the crowd was really going crazy because nobody knew he would come as well. So he had a schedule somewhere in Africa for filming another series or a movie, I don't know. And it fitted in his schedule to attend to Earp-A-Palooza, but nobody knew he was coming. So that was a big surprise for everybody. And that made the cast, of course, even more complete.
That's awesome. I wonder if he was doing Vagrant Queen, which is another show that'll be coming to Sci-Fi.
I think it was.
Yeah. And the great thing that on the Men of Purgatory panel was Tim's by the book. He's there to do a job, and he's going to do it well, and he stays focused. Yet Aaron is the one who is the prankster.
Really?
Always trying to get the cast to crack up. Oh, yeah. That was fantastic to hear that side of the story and some of their shenanigans off screen. And it was really good I figured it was Tim Rosen was going to be the one who was always trying to crack people up, but nope.
Yeah, he
Jeremy.
kind of looks like he'd be the guy who's just causing a bunch of mess.
Yeah, Farun Saranga.
And you also had the guy who's playing the boyfriend, correct? He was on stage this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm blanking on his name. I'm trying to...
Yeah, he plays Robin.
Justin
Kelly. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So, overall, what did you guys think about the con?
Well, Steve, for me, it was the second time.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was fantastic. I needed it to have a weekend to hang out with Fred and really laugh and enjoy the stories that the cast were telling and some of the shenanigans that they got into while the panels were going on. And it just definitely was something that I needed to lift my spirits.
Yeah, and it's really giving, huh? It's a really giving surrounding as the cast as well as the public, because it is a bit LGBTQ focused, but not completely. And so there are a lot of people who had quite some difficulties in their life. And what you see there is you see new friendships, people supporting each other, this cast supporting people, encouraging people. Yeah, really, really lovely. And if you then take, for instance, the closing ceremony, you get the whole cast in tears there.
So that's definitely something different.
Oh,
so
that
close
was amazing.
it is.
Yeah, they put together a video of the fight for Winona and all the billboards in New York and all the tweets and stuff. And yeah, it had everybody pretty much in tears, especially the cast.
Now, I do want to ask you guys, I am kind of backing up. The fight for Winona, did they really go into this? Because, I mean, we had known we were getting the next season, and then it just kind of fell off the cliff for a little while. So did they
Well, it
talk
was
about
not
what
much
happened?
of a little while. It took quite a while.
But did they go into why that happened?
Yes, it was. The point was that Sci-Fi had ordered the fourth season, but IDW, I think, is the producing company, and they had financial problems to get the whole production rolling. And although Sci-Fi was willing to broadcast it, the ones that should pay for the production were at a certain point not able. So although Sci-Fi announced we will get a fourth season, suddenly this other company that should produce it had problems.
Oh, see, they didn't really go into it the last time. They just said, it's finally coming, it'll be at this point. Because when we were at the panel in San Diego, they kind of, skimmed over it, and...
Yeah, but Emily had to do a lot of work behind the scenes and in this production, in this corporate system behind movies and series to get everything done. And then the voice, of course, of the fans also was very
instrumental in helping to get the funding needed to actually go into production on season 4.
That's amazing. So obviously all of the fans, which they have said at every con, they're like the backbone and the reason that everything is happening. I didn't realize, because obviously I'm not in New York or California where a lot of the stuff was probably going up on billboards and such. I can just see what's going on online. I didn't realize it had that huge of an impact that people were buying billboards, because those aren't cheap to, put all that out there.
Not in downtown New York City. They're not.
So I think that's amazing. And I'm glad, of course, that we are getting the next season, because that would have been a horrible way to end our journey with them.
Sure. So there were also panels, especially Way Hot is always a panel. So just with Dominique and Kat Burrell, which is always very nice and loving. And then they have a Men's of Purgatory and a Women's of Purgatory. Of course, the Women's of Purgatory is a whole table full, and the men's were only 3, together with Kevin Batchelder, so 4. Yeah, and during the Women of Purgatory panel, they were talking about, let's say, women's power, getting more women-centered series, where it becomes slowly clear that women can do it the same as the man. And but I still have a little. I talked to Steve as well, that the recognition of having strong women in series and movies is getting better and better. But I'm still, if I'm sitting there at for instance Earp-A-Palooza and I watch around, well, how many men were there, Steve? We were one of the scarce 10% or something.
Yeah, at least.
So what I actually want, if the real recognition of woman-centered and woman-powered series would be if there were, let's say, I don't want to ask for 50-50, but at least 40% males in the audience. So not only that women slowly get these strong lead roles in series and movies, but that there also will be a male recognition of that. And I think there is still a way to go.
But it is improving.
Yes.
Yeah, it is improving. And,
Steve
I know
and I did our best in this, but
yeah, we've enjoyed a lot of the recent shows that had strong female leads, Orphan Black, Dark Matter, and, why not?
Killjoys has male and female.
Yep. Killjoys, The Magicians.
And even going back a little further, Defiance had huge female leads. Continuum was pretty much the female lead. And going back way further, obviously, Buffy and Firefly. Firefly was huge. Even though Nathan Fillion was the lead, he was not the only one. There was a lot of strong women on that cast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's huge. And I mean, even going back, obviously, my brain's going blank because we're talking about it right now, but going back to Alien, where you had Sigourney Weaver in a lead role. And that was huge. And it's still a big deal. And I definitely, of course, I always think that, we need more women in the front so that all these little girls coming up can see they can do something like this and not necessarily just, I can be on camera. You can be the one writing it, like Emily. You can be the one directing. You can do any of this. And that's one of the big things that when I do interviews with them, I'll ask them, what do you want to tell women who are coming up now, who want to get in this business? So I think it's great that they really want to push that, and hopefully they will. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with just watching Sci-Fi Channel to see what they have coming, although we've had some pretty decent ones. Deadly Class, Vagrant Queen looks pretty promising. We'll see how it all runs. But is there anything else you guys want to say about the con before we wrap up our special report con review?
One of my highlights was meeting Steve.
Absolutely.
That's so awesome.
And now we both get a little emotional even.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I did is it was a bit hectic for me, and I had a lot of trouble getting used to the 7 hours difference, and I didn't feel completely healthy. And, well, Steve pulled me through, actually, more or less. And I had a big schedule afterwards because I wanted to go to Maryland on my way home, because I give weekly audio feedback to Dave and Wayne's podcast, Sci-Fi TV Rewatch. So I had 6 flights in 7 days.
Oh, geez.
So I visited them. So I visited Dave in his own studio, and we did like we are doing this now over the ocean. But I did a special, and it's partly also about Earp-A-Palooza, but we talked a lot about every other kind of stuff, and especially about how television in the Netherlands functions, etc., etc. It was very nice. I was actually expecting, and I did my homework for the next episode of the series they are doing currently. But then they surprised me that they did a kind of Fred interview instead of doing just with the 3 of us the next episode of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. That's the series they do at the moment. So they surprised me a little bit, and we talked about many things. And yeah, as meeting Steve, as meeting Dave and Wayne in real life also makes, because I gave feedback now for the next episode, and it's so different if you met people in person and you're going to give feedback. So seeing you now, Sean, at least on Skype makes it a little different, but having met Steve in real life, and that even for 3 days, because I was very much amazed that he was moving from Dallas to St. Louis. And then I said, oh, I'm in St. Louis for Earp-A-Palooza. We can at least meet one evening, and that would be very nice. And then finally Steve was attending the con, so we could spend 3 days actually together, and it was even much more amazing. So that's the thing I want to say. It's really nice to meet people, even after 4 years in real life. And I disagree a little bit with my youngest son. Very short story. He had a girlfriend in Sweden, and then my wife offered, okay, we can go for a week to Sweden, and you can meet this girlfriend in real life. And if it doesn't work out, we just go travel through Stockholm and whatever. And if you don't want to have me around, you just spend your time with her, and I will go to musea in Stockholm. And then he came home, and now the story comes to an end. When he came home, I asked my youngest son, and he was, I think, 15 or 14 at that time. And I asked him, Robin, what was different now? You knew her via Skype and via internet, and now you met her for a whole week in real life. What was different? And then he became silent, and he said, well, Dad, actually nothing. So that are the young people. And actually, after meeting Steve and Dave and Wayne, I fully disagree with him. It is different.
Yes, absolutely. We do want to let everybody know that all the panel videos that Sci-Fi shot are up on YouTube, so you can check them out.
You can check if we are telling the truth here.
Yeah. Now, I know the full cast panel, they had some audio issues, so bear with them, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy it. But the other ones after that seem to have had the audio problems fixed. So check them out, because they're a lot of fun and just an amazing cast. Can't say enough about them. Can't say enough about getting to meet my dear friend Fred.
Well, yeah. I'm really glad you guys got a chance to meet and had an awesome time at Earp-A-Palooza. Sorry I couldn't get there this year. Maybe it'll be a little closer next year. I mean, not that it was that far, but yeah, they can creep a little closer to Chicago. Work it out. Hopefully, we'll see how that runs.
Right. Yeah. Anywhere between St. Louis and Chicago will work, because both of us could make it then.
Yeah. I have to agree with you though, Fred meeting Steve. I met him for the first time a couple years back too when he came up for a con. And I think he's going to make it this next year too, because we'll be covering C2E2. So we'll just have to send pics, hopefully, of all the exploits. We'll see how that runs. But guys, thank you so much for not just going to con, because of course you had fun with that part, but for covering the con and taking the pictures and just talking to the celebs, asking the questions so we can put out here to let everybody know what's going on.
Okay. Well, I say goodbye. This is Fred from the Netherlands, signing off.
For this episode of Sci-Fi Talk, I'm Sean Fangirl S.
And I'm Steve. We need another Earp-A-Palooza now.
And until next time.
With Sean.
Yes.